Hey, what's up, champions? Welcome to Growth Mode. I'm your host, Donnie Bovine, the CEO and founder of Success Champions. For a second, I forgot my own damn name. I've spent over 20 years in the sales game, last almost 4 running and scaling and growing a business, man. And I've just been a student of sales and now a student of business. Hanging out with me, as always, is Kevin Snow, the sales automation and tactician and genius, and the reason my companies function and run like they do. I don't know what the hell he does, but he makes everything work, so I'm good with it. On this show, man, we talk about all things sales, growing your business, scaling, and helping you get to that level of freedom you always wanted to get to. Kevin, in this episode, what the heck are we talking about?
Today, we're going to talk about how to get everyone to think like you do.
Oh, that's a scary fucking thought. I'm not sure I want everybody thinking like I think.
I will agree to that.
So what do you mean getting everybody to think like I do, or is that a generalized statement?
I think that's a generalized statement. I think part of building a audience, building your your ideal client base, building your community, and I'll use your favorite word, your tribe.
Right.
Is getting people to buy into this bigger vision that you have, or buying into this way that you conduct yourself and you do business. And I think for business owners, especially in that small business where they're everything and they're the brand yet for their business, I think that is really key, but a lot of them fail at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have to put one caveat as we go into this episode that if you're the CEO of the company, nobody is ever going to think like you, right? Nobody's ever going to sell as good as you. Nobody's going to ever buy the vision like you do. Nobody's ever going to represent like you do. And I think you have to come to terms with that and be okay. Now, with that said, you get that vision aligned, you know where you're going, you're able to articulate it, and you're able to put your message out there to where it attracts the people who geek out on the same shit you geek out on, then you will attract people that want to run as hard as you do. Right? Which is what I think I've successfully done with Success Champions. One, finding Kevin and some of the other people that hang out with us, is by helping everybody else around me to see how we're impacting and going to change the world. And being crazy enough to even put those words out there in the atmosphere. But also, I think most business owners, CEOs, do not show up as their genuine self. And you can go back to whatever episode we talked about, being unapologetically yourself. Go listen to that because we talk about, 100% you shouldn't just be an asshole. But I think, once you let the world meet you on real terms, then you can start bringing in the people that will fit your culture and run the way you want to run. I think people that struggle with this, I'm thinking about a CEO I know. She runs a multi-million-dollar company, but she is such a control freak that she will not allow anybody into her world because nobody can do it as well as she can. And because of that, even though she employs several hundred people, she literally cannot find somebody to come in and help her do some of the day-to-day stuff because, she's just got to have her hands on it. And when her biggest frustration is always, why can't I get people to think as big as I think? Why can't I get people to work as hard as I work? And the response I tell her all the time is because you won't let them. You've got them under such a tight net of things got to be done my way and do it this way that you won't let people spread their wings. And if you're doing all the stuff, why should they in the first place? You're going to do it. And if they try, they're going to do it wrong, and then they're in trouble. And of course, she never likes that answer. So, but I think you got to have that massive vision out there, and then let people do what they're freaking awesome at.
Yeah, I think that's the key to the success we've had with Success Champions is that we both understand what each other is really good at, and we leverage those strengths.
Oh, good. What am I good at? Because I don't remember.
You like to talk.
Oh, okay. And what do you do?
I do everything else.
Oh, got it. All right.
But we also understand where our weaknesses are and where our gaps are in knowledge and skill set, and we actively go out and try to find the people that geek out on those things and fill that void in our world so that we can stop half-assing certain things and bring someone in who's all in to do a fantastic job at that thing. And I think that's one of the key things for growing a company is understanding, where you suck and what you don't want to be doing, and having the courage to let go of it and give it to someone else.
Yeah, and something else that popped in my head was you've also got to create an environment where people are okay talking to the other people that are on your team. There's nobody in all the organizations that has any problem reaching out to Kevin. Actually, probably some of them would prefer to reach out to Kevin, to ask questions. And everybody knows if it gets technical, you should reach out to Kevin because I'm going to have no fucking clue. But I think a lot of business owners, because their ego gets in the way, they want people to come through them. They want that control and everything else. So, part of getting people to think big, and once again, they don't need to think as big as you do with the overall vision of the company. They need to think big in what they geek out on and be able to innovate. And you've got to give them the room Kevin does it to me all the time. He'll walk up and goes, "Hey, I tried something new," or "I've built something new," or and I fucking love it every time because I need people in my world that are constantly thinking what's next, and what can we add on, or how can we make this more proficient. You don't need to surround yourself with a bunch of yes men and women that are just going to say, yes to whatever you do. We've had meetings where I've put out, a question, 5 or 6 people, 4 of them will go, yes, that's fine. And here comes Kevin goes, well, not really. And I'm like, yes, finally somebody is fucking, stepping up and going, dude, don't think about, this way. I made a massive business decision not too long ago and then went and talked to one of the networking groups. And they told me I was a fucking idiot for that particular business decision. And I had to eat a lot of crow because I made a decision without all the right facts and all the right conversations in place. And it was massive. But if you have put yourself in this situation where you're easily offended by people being real back to you. This whole world's about being real, but when somebody's real to them, they crawl up in a fucking ball and cry. You got to be able to take it on the chin. And
Yep.
Luckily, I got Kevin. That dude has no problem telling me, dude, that shit ain't going to work.
There's not a lot of... there's not really a line between us for what is applicable and appropriate to say. So, you were talking about the culture. I think the other really big culture thing you need to do to get people to start thinking like you and going big like you, and to get on board with the vision is to build this culture where it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
We've created this thing where, it's like, let's go break something.
Yep.
And that's literally, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And with the idea that we break it, we're going to learn something in the process that we're going to be using later in life. I think
And
it's
we talk about
Google.
that all the time, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's how we're reinforcing. Please go try it. Go do it because if it's not breaking, if there's not some sort of chaos, then we're not fucking learning anything.
I think it's Google that has their innovation lab where they actually bonus their teams when they kill off their own project because they realize it's not a thing, that it's never going to be applicable and happen. And it's like, and they celebrate. It's like, all right, so team B just, they've ended their project because they realized that it's never going to be cost efficient to do this. Awesome. Here's your bonus. So you're getting bonus to fail, and then they all go and figure out something new that they want to try out and investigate and research and see if they can make it work. And it's a continuous learning thing. And some of the stuff works is awesome, and other stuff is like it's really cool, but it's never going to be able to be implemented. So let's just stop.
Yeah. In addition to that, I mean, Kevin and I recently just implemented, a work hour during the week where we don't have a whole lot of an agenda, but we show up and have some loose ideas of things we're going to talk about. But we're going to be working on things while we brainstorm, what we're doing with the company and how we're moving it forward. And one of the last sessions we did, we just mapped out the next 4 phases of the companies as a whole, and it was a cool process to go through. So I think to get people to think like you want them to think on a bigger level, you got to put them in a position where they can. And what was even better is Kevin and I were in another meeting. A guy wants to come and do a lot of things with us and help us from a sales perspective and everything else. Kevin articulated so well, and seriously, dude, I was impressed the shit out of how well you articulated it. The next 4 phases of the business. He articulated it better than I and him laid it out. It was really, really cool to watch. And I think that's a lot of what has to happen in your world is you gotta let people run. You gotta actually give them the reins in horse speak and let them put their head down and fucking go. And quit trying to box people in. I just got done watching a presentation by one of our members, and she said, one of the indicators that your business is starting to fail is the entrepreneurs start leaving. And I thought, oh, that's a cool thing to look for because I'd love to be surrounded by a bunch of entrepreneurs. I don't need just entrepreneurs, but I need those people that are thinking outside the box and are coming up with creative ideas. And if you create an environment where people can't create, it's a sure indicator you're fixing to lose everything because you're going to get stagnant or you're going to be full of bureaucrats that won't do anything but what the handbook says.
So I think that ties into a really good future episode that we're going to have to put on the list because you talked about how you want to be surrounded by entrepreneurs, and my next thought was like, well, we also need another group of people, and we had this conversation. We need the execution people that are like can take a vision and go do. So I think in a future episode we need to talk about how you build that team, and what types of people you need to have on it, so that you can go big with your business. Yep, we can hear the furious typing. Yes, everyone.
How do you build your starting lineup?
Yep, everyone. Donnie uses all 10 fingers when he types, not just the 2.
No, I got like 4 fingers I use. It's a thing. So, and sometimes it's thumbs. But, at the end of the day, even if you're a solopreneur and you're figuring it out, you've got to get around people that are doing the crazy things like you're doing because running a business, you can quickly find yourself on an island, and it's a surefire way to screw up everything. Mentally, everything you're doing with your business, financially, if you're doing all the stuff yourself, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt. And so I think as you're going about everything, you, as we always say on the show, one, find the shit you're not good at and then find somebody who geeks out on that and then let them geek the fuck out. Let the world know what your freaking vision is. Let them in on what you're trying to create, what you're trying to build, and find somebody else that gets that vision and is hungry to be a part of something. And, in addition to all that, be okay of if letting other people around you fuck up and fail. Be okay when they come to you and say, hey, this didn't work. Laugh at the stupid shit. I mean, every once in a while an email will go out that automatically got generated by our program somehow, and I'll send Kevin an email, and instead of getting pissed off that a bad email goes out, because I know he's whooping his own ass, right? He's mentally going, fuck, I can't believe that happened. So it doesn't mean no good to go, what the fuck, the email went up bad. I always send him a thing, I'm like, dumbass, you sent the wrong fucking email. And because I want that environment. If I were to harp down on him and jump his ass, it accomplishes nothing. Because I know how meticulous he is with things and how much he's mentally, down on himself because something went south. So, I just think that people as leaders have got to be more open. They've got to be more willing to let their people in, not run a dictatorship. And be okay with people telling you you're a fucking idiot if you're doing the wrong things, and then surround yourself with the people who will call you a fucking idiot if you're doing the wrong things. So, as always, guys, if you got any value out of this episode, any tips, tricks, knowledge, thing you can use, make sure you're subscribed or follow wherever you listen or watch this, and then do us a favor and help somebody else subscribe and follow the show. It means everything to us. And if you ever leave us a review, I'd really appreciate that too. We'll catch you guys next time. See ya.